I'm going to start the recording and want to welcome you all to today's session. Today we will be hearing from KET staff members about KET's Workplace Essential Skills Workplace Essential Skills program and the free resources that KET offers. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to introduce myself and our captioners, and also stop sharing my video so you just see my picture. So my name is Hillary Ritt, and I am the Workforce and Adult Services Consultant at the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives. And I'm excited to be here today with Sarah, Dr. Sarah Wilkins. She is the Director of Adult Education and Workforce Training at Kentucky Educational Television. She is joined by her colleague, Ms. Beth Gauntz, who is the Director of Strategic Advancement, Kentucky Educational Television. So both of these ladies are going to tell us about KET's wonderful resources. Want to let you all know that today's webinar will be recorded and made available within a few weeks of today's session. And if you have any technical issues or anything, please feel free to type that information in the chat. And without further ado, I'm going to pass the baton over, so to speak, to Sarah.
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for having us with you today. We've been really looking forward to this, and we're pleased to be able to have the opportunity to share with you what we think are some great resources that we hope that you and your patrons are going to find useful. So right now, Beth is sharing her screen, and we're going to take a tour of resources, visit many locations, and all of the links that we're talking about today are hyperlinked in our presentation. So don't worry about having to write something down. If you, Hillary is recording this session, so if you want to go back and investigate something, you'll see the hyperlinks here in our presentation. So I'm going to turn my camera off now just to preserve bandwidth, and let's get started. Now, I don't know if many of you are familiar with PBS Learning Media, and I'm watching chat. I always like to encourage people to talk with us and have conversation as much as possible in the chat box. So please, put your comments in there. I see that Hillary has put in the link to Learning Media. If you are not familiar with it, Learning Media is an online repository of over 100,000 classroom resources. They're all free. So as you are working perhaps with people who come into your locations and you're looking for some learning resources, PBS Learning Media would be a great place to start. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what Learning Media looks like and how to navigate. You can imagine with over 100,000 resources, it's akin to going on to Google and identifying, searching for what you need can be maybe a challenge with this many resources. But Learning Media makes it really convenient to search by subject. So you can see on the top bar on the home page. We're on the home page now. So if we wanted to search by subject, we could simply click on subject in that blue bar, and it will drop down all of the options for different materials for each of these subject areas. You can also search by grade level, which is really helpful. And I will say that if you are helping, say, adult learners even, some of these you may want to consider looking at even 6th to 8th grade level materials. Often these are appropriate for adult learners as well, just as long as they're not too maybe cartoony, but there are lots and lots of wonderful resources in there that would apply for adult learners. And there's also a way to search by standards, which is most important for adult educators. If you look across the bottom, you'll see that there are many subject areas that are featured on a daily basis. So again, lots of helps there. Now, if you're looking for something specific, you can always type your search term in the search bar. So let's say that you have someone who wants to do some work learning about triangles. So if we type in triangles, you'll see what we get. Now, on the very first resource we see looks like a math resource, but the second one, you'll notice that our search term triangle has also pulled up a video and information about the triangle fire and the triangle shirtwaist strike. So just like any other search engine, you may want to filter and narrow down your search. So if you put in this term, triangles, and you're like, oh wait, I want triangles in math. You can see over on the left in the subject area, you can choose science, social studies, mathematics, language arts, etc. You can also choose the grade level. And you see now where Beth has clicked on mathematics, it's now filtered and sorted only mathematics references to triangles. So you can see there are many ways to search in the sidebar, again, by grade level, by resource type, and you'll find on your own exploration many other options for searching learning media to get to exactly what you're looking for. It is a wonderful resource, though, that has videos and lessons and interactives and images. So I would encourage you, if you've not explored learning media, to visit it. And again, all the resources in learning media are free. So it's a great resource for you as you help your patrons who visit your libraries. So if we go back to our PowerPoint, on our next slide, we'll see that within PBS Learning Media, and there are many, many contributors, NOVA, Frontline, PBS, but KET is the largest contributor of adult education classroom resources to learning media. So you can see here, we've got a screenshot of what that page looks like, and we're going to look at the live site now and visit some of the resources available there. So you can see within the adult education resources, the first thing we see sort of down toward the bottom is workplace essential skills. And that's really what we're here to discuss today. KET has added a wonderful collection of workplace essential skills resources. You can see all of the career sectors in the drop-down menu on the left. Many of the videos in here contained math and language arts content contextualized to these specific career sectors. There's also a soft skills component that is non-contextualized but contains those skills that employers ask for so often, like how to resolve conflict in the workplace, or the importance of showing up to work on time, or of coming back the next day, or calling in if you can't make it to work. So those are some great, you'll find some great videos and materials in there as well. And our newest addition is our job search component. And I think Beth is gonna present on job search. So Beth, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Job search came out of the Workplace Essential Skills course development. We thought it would be a great value-added module to put in with the math and language arts information that we already have for each of the industries that we address. And so we decided then, well, since this seems to be so very useful, why not do one that was not contextualized to one industry, but took in a number of industries, examples from a lot of different places, and gave students, most important, or adults, hands-on activities that they could do and walk away with usable documentation to build their own resume, to write a cover letter. We really wanted it to be hands-on and easy for students to use. And if you notice, this is the home screen for job search, but over in the right-hand menu, there are support materials for use with students. And students, adult workers, learners can click on those, and there are documents there where they can actually take the Word document template and build their own resume or build their own cover letter. This is the menu in job search, and I just thought it would give you a good overview of what's in there. We talk about how to search for a job, how to analyze a posting relative to the skills and goals that a job searcher might have. We talk about what employers want, hearing it from the employer management side. We talk about resumes, a lot of information about building resumes, what goes in, what does a particular viewer want to include in their own resume. Cover letters, whether or not to use them, what they look like, what to include there. And then a lot of information on interviewing. When we built the Workplace Essential Skills that where this originated, we went around the country and we spoke to employers in all parts of the U.S. to ask them things like, well, what do you want an employee, excuse me, to come to the job with? What are you looking for in a resume? What do you think should happen during an interview? And so we've got wonderful videos in there of people opening up and giving job searchers the best inside information that they could provide. And then there is a lot of mentoring type videos. We have doing your homework, what to wear, asking questions of the person who's interviewing you, etc. It's all just designed to be extremely hands-on and extremely useful. I'd like to play a video for you now, just so you can get an idea of what that is like. And you know what? I'm going to stop for a second and make sure that I have clicked what will allow you to hear the audio. One moment.
And just while Beth is doing that, I just typed in the chat, but as you think of questions during the presentation, feel free to type those in the chat and we'll collect those at the end of the presentation and ask those questions at the end. But please feel free to do that as you think of questions during this presentation, because I know that they look forward to helping you and answering any questions you may have.
All right, we'll try this one more time. There we go. Thank you all for your patience.
That's fine, Beth. Thank you all.
You know, Beth, I think pauses always feel a lot longer to the presenter than to the participants. I have to say, it doesn't seem like you've been gone very long at all.
Very good. Very good. All right.
What makes a great resume? It's keeping it brief and to the point. I probably get 20 to 30 a week. The ones that stand out help me do the screening job. And somebody's taken the time to summarize their key achievements, talk to me about why they would be a great kind of candidate, and keep the resume short. I see some that are 6, 7, or 8 pages long. They aren't going to get read. 3 pages is about as long as you want. 2 pages is where I'd like to see it, and even with 2 pages, summarize what's great about you and why you work in terms of this position at the top of page 1, so I get the story straight off and don't have to wade through the whole document. That gets read, that impacts on me.
So that's just a sample of the kind of interviews that we have included. I will show you another one here shortly. Some of the yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just before we do another video, we had I heard a little bit of feedback on that. So
okay.
I'm wondering if there were like maybe 2 mics open or something on you. It might be on my end. I don't know if anyone else heard that. But I just had a little bit of an echo, and it might have been mine.
Good to know, and I will test that as we play the next video and just see.
Oh, okay. We have a comment here about turning off. Okay, maybe it was your mic.
Okay. All right.
That's a great video.
All right. So as we look here at some of the content, the actual narrative type content in the job search module, you see that, for example, we go through sample applications. We give students criteria where they can think about what goes in what part. And then after we give some information, there are quick questions to sort of, help seat the information in their minds. The resume video is also good, but let's see if I can turn my mic off without, sorry. I'm not sure that I can turn my mic off without completely going out again. Hillary, can you mute my mic?
I'm not sure that I can. Let's see. I will try.
All right. I think it's worth a try if you all had in some, feedback.
Okay. I just muted you.
What makes a great resume? It's keeping it brief and to the point.
Hey, Beth, I know you're muted, but no feedback on that. That sounded great.
Beth, it worked fine for me too.
What makes a great resume? It's keeping it brief and to the point. I probably get 20 to 30 a week. The ones that stand out help me do the screening job. And somebody's taken the time to summarize their key achievements.
Beth, I think you're going to have to unmute yourself now, though.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just going to keep going here. Let's move forward. I'm sorry I couldn't get the video to play, at least not on this end, like I wanted it to. But we're going to move ahead. Here is a sample resume. We have sample resumes from various different industries. And then we break them down so that we show each part of the template, what goes in each slot, to help job searchers who are building their own resume think about what needs to go where. Keep them from being repetitive. Make sure they get the critical information in. And then there's a place where they can see the resume sample on the left-hand column and put their own notes into the right-hand column, and they will have an opportunity to save this document or to print it. And then they can use it later when they go to actually build their own resume. They'll have all the information ready to copy and paste. And they do have templates under that materials click that I showed you at the very beginning on the home page that will allow them to just go straight in and start putting this information in. All right, we're going to try one more time on this. Hillary, if you can mute me. This is from our interview series. This is called Doing Your Homework.
You need to do your homework. This is the biggest issue that employers bring up and tell me that people come into the interview clueless about their company, clueless about who they are, and clueless about the job they want. So doing your homework means that you discover, who is this company that I'm going to ask for a job or go to have a conversation to discuss a possible job? What do they do? What do they manufacture? What services are they in? Who is their audience or who is their customer or client? Minimally know that. Spend a half an hour on the internet. The information is right there. It's so easy for you to discover that. So know who the company is, know who this person is you're interviewing, their name, their title, and know what the job is. You may not know what the exact duties of that job are, but if you know the title, then you can do some digging around on the internet for that position and what it entails. And then also know about you. Sit down and figure out, what are my top greatest strengths? Are they the ability to write, communicate, solve problems, do math, research, plan, organize, computer skills? Know what those are. Then know what you know about. Everybody has a body of knowledge. You may be young enough that you haven't developed a lot of knowledge in your life, but you have experiences that you have garnered information from or about. So figure out if you know how to deal with the elderly. Maybe if you're going into healthcare, you've dealt with people who have mental health issues. If you are looking at a role in construction, what kinds of carpentry have you worked on? What knowledge do you have? What tools do you know how to operate? Really think that through and think, what do I know about? And share the information, of course, that's relevant for the job. Think about those personal characteristics and talents and qualities that you have. The fact that you're persistent, the fact that you're mature, the fact that you are outgoing, that you are budget conscious. Those are really important qualities as well. So the homework entails 3 areas: knowing the job, knowing the company, and knowing yourself. You need to do your homework.
Beth, you'll have to unmute yourself. I'm not able to do that.
Definitely better than having to deal with, it feels a little clunky, but the truth is we'd rather do that than have you all listen to a lot of static, or feedback. The series of interviews that are here with the interview section are really excellent, and they cover a broad range of items. And it's really important. We tend to think of those things as being pretty self-evident, but you're an adult who's coming in, who's re-entering the workforce, or has decided that they have some additional training. Now they want to look for a job in a different sector. Whatever it may be, giving them this kind of really basic nuts and bolts information and a place to do the hands-on type of work that they need. It seems like it would be a great link for you to feature somewhere when you do workforce type links in your library, and would be great information for your patrons. Sarah, I will turn it back to you.
Sure. Okay. Well, thanks for that, Beth. And that last video showed great. It sounded, I could hear it and sounded great. So what we showed you, everything up to this point has been in PBS Learning, that online repository of free resources. But we also wanted to share with you some career resources that are available also for free on KET's website. So it's been maybe, oh gosh, time flies, maybe 3 years ago that we embarked on this project for Careers in Demand videos and supplemental materials specific to Kentucky. So you can see that we have included here the 5 high demand career sectors that have been identified in Kentucky: manufacturing, business and IT, construction, healthcare, and transportation and logistics. We've also included a skills builder section here. So if we click on the hyperlink in this slide, you'll see what the page looks like on our site. It is accompanied by several learning resources that are, again, specific to Kentucky. So Beth, are we able to go to that site? Is that clicking for you?
There we go.
There, I see it working. So here's the live site. You can see these same friendly people we just saw on the slide. And if we click into, let's say, construction, you can have you'll get a better idea of the materials that are available there. Now our team, we are going to watch a portion of a video. Our production team traveled to Kentucky to do these interviews and video people doing the actual work. So Beth, if we just click on that second video there, it's about 4 minutes. So we won't watch the whole thing, but I do want you to just have an idea of what these videos look like. Oh, we don't need to subscribe to that new.
Oops.
The construction industry is strong and growing stronger. From cities and subdivisions to small towns across Kentucky, structures of all kinds are going up. For those who'd rather pound on something bigger than a keyboard, a career in construction can take you across Kentucky, across the nation, and sometimes across the world. When it's time to build something big, your skills, your strength, and your stamina are in demand.
I just love what I do. I love construction work. I love putting stuff together, figuring things out, and making things work.
Construction is a team sport. Whatever the job, someone needs to run it. Experience, good judgment, and the ability to work with others are prerequisites for any project manager.
And Sarah, I muted you for that video, so if you may need to unmute yourself again to talk.
Yes, I was just talking away. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you, Beth. That was, I saw you pausing there, so thanks for reading my mind and doing that. As we said, the great thing about these materials is that they are Kentucky specific. So if we scroll down just a little bit more on this page, you'll see some of the other links that may be helpful to you and those who visit your libraries. You can see that we have featured resources here on the job training, apprenticeship, etc. And if we scroll up just a little bit, you'll also see in the second section here, wondering if you have what it takes, the last link there takes us to a document on career pathways and projected job demands. So I think this is particularly.
Sarah, we've lost your sound.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I saw my little circle gray out there for a moment. This is the page where you can see many different options available within a career sector. I often think, maybe someone might be interested in healthcare, but says, gosh, though, I can't stand blood. Well, there are other things that you can do in healthcare, just as there are other options that you could make here in construction. So each of these features options for employment, degree required, projected salary, and also projected 5-year openings in this career sector. So all of this information is available from that careers in demand page on our website that Hillary has linked here in chat and also is linked in our PowerPoint presentation. So if we go back to the PowerPoint, we have just a few more slides for you today. And that's the video that we just saw. And the one last resources that we would like to close with today are just letting you be aware of our online study systems for high school equivalency, and for us in Kentucky, that's the GED, and workplace prep. So again, these items are hyperlinked both in the top here and in the bottom link. So Beth, if we just click on that hyperlink there in the header, I just want people to see what the page looks like. Now, and I also want to point out that all of the resources we've seen today in PBS Learning Media and on our site, Careers in Demand, are free. All the links are there. But we also have these two online study systems that are available for purchase, either by learning centers or by individuals. And the difference, you'll notice that we have Fast Forward, which is our GED prep system, and Workplace Essential Skills, which you might say, didn't we just see that in Learning Media? Well, the materials and the videos that you see in Learning Media do come from this study system. The difference is that those are standalone videos with associated classroom resources like discussion questions or reading prompts. But in these two study systems, we have learning management systems. So these can be used for distance learning, for classroom work, or in individuals who want to pursue education in either of these areas. So that means that they have online grade books, reporting tools for teachers so that they can see time on task for students, what students studied. So it's an entire study system, whereas the materials in Learning Media are standalone resources if you don't need, for instance, like in a classroom setting, or need someone to be enrolled to track their progress. So again, these are great resources that are used all across Kentucky, and we wanted to make sure that you were introduced to them today as well. If you want more information about either one of these products, they also are hyperlinked in that last slide. And I saw earlier that someone had a question about a certificate for completing certain work. And in PBS Learning Media, because those are, again, standalone resources that might be considered supplementary, there is no certificate or a completion document available for that. However, in Workplace Essential Skills, our online study system with the learning management system, there are certificates of completion for each of the courses, including soft skills. Now, Workplace Essential Skills, again, we have 7 high demand career sectors, and these courses are for the math and language arts that is contextualized to a specific work sector. So when students finish, they take a post-test and If they get a score of 90 or higher on that post-test, they do get a certificate of completion. Now, this is useful for those entering the job market perhaps for the first time who maybe don't have a lot of credentials to take with them. They would have this certificate of completion so that they could take it to the employer and say, I've completed math and language arts lessons in, in this transportation and logistics course, so that they could see the components that they studied and the skills that they worked on while in each of these courses. But that again is available only through our online course, not through the PBS Learning Media resources. So I'm wondering if we have other questions or items for discussion, because I do believe that was our last, we had one more slide. I just remembered for our adult education page on our website, where, believe it or not, we've only just scratched the surface of materials and resources available for adult ed at KET. So this is a screenshot of our adult education page, and if we click on the hyperlink at the top of this page, you'll be able to visit our adult ed page and see just a sample of the many, many other options and resources that we have available. We do have a newsletter and update news items about adult learners in Kentucky and across the nation on a regular basis on this page. So I will pause now. I will mute myself and just watch for questions or any comments that you have. We'd be glad to respond.
Thank you, Beth and Sarah, so much. I want to reiterate what Sarah just said. Please feel free to type your questions in the chat, and Sarah or Beth I'll field it, and or they can see them too. So please feel free to type any questions you have in the chat, whether about workplace essential skills or PBS Learning Media or the adult resources and the two courses that they offer as paid, both the Fast Forward and the Workplace Essential Skills modules.
And I do wonder if any of you are familiar or had already been using PBS Learning Media. I think it's one of our best kept secrets.
Please feel free to type in the chat if you have been using PBS Learning Media, or what other KET resources you may have referred your adult customers to. That would be something great to share as well. Even if you don't have a question, you could share what you have done with the KET resources that you know about. And folks, I have put the links in the chat, but I will also send out, after today's webinar, send out the PowerPoint slides and a list of the links that were shared today from those PowerPoint slides. So those will be made available to you in addition to the recording from today's webinar. So, and I don't know, Beth or Sarah, have you seen the question from Heather? Is there a cost for these resources?
The cost for workplace essential skills, if you are purchasing an industry, it is $12 for a year. If you're a learning center and one student finishes, you can allow another student to use that license without extra pay. Soft skills is $10 a year. And Sarah, I'll let you talk about the cost for the Fast Forward high school equivalency preparation.
Sure. Fast Forward, because we are a Kentucky-based, Kentucky enrollees get a substantial discount. So for, say, individual learners in Kentucky, if someone wanted to purchase it just for study at home, so we call that an individual license, that's $50 for, as Beth said, a year's access. Our adult education centers who frequently purchase licenses for classroom use get the benefit of $36 per seat. And what that means is if an adult education center wants to purchase 10 seats, or a library could do this as well, it would be $36 per seat for 1 year's access. And as Beth mentioned, those seats are reusable. So as people come and go or enroll and unenroll, those seats can be made available to other learners through the course of that 1 year license. So I hope that helps.
And everything else that we showed you is completely gratis. There are no charges for anything in PBS Learning Media or the resources that are on our website that are not those courses. And one other thing with PBS Learning Media, you don't have to make an account unless you want to. It takes a few seconds, literally, to do that. But if you do it, then you can set bookmarks and things like that. So it's sometimes helpful for people if they want to do that. If they were to log in from a different computer, if they found PBS Learning Media at one of your libraries and got excited about the resources, they could make themselves an account, and then when they got to a different computer in a different location, log in and see their bookmarks and things saved in the cloud.
And Sarah and Beth, I'm going to put your email addresses in the chat. It will be available at the end in a slide too, but I'm going to go on and put your email addresses in the chat so if folks are interested in learning more about either the modules or anything that you've shared today.
Sure. We'd be glad to hear from you, and if there are services that we can provide or questions we can answer for your location specifically, or if you would like a webinar or something similar on training for just the staff at your libraries, just let us know, because we do that too.
And I don't know if you and Sarah, or you and Beth saw this, Sarah, but Amy Tollison at Marywood Weldon Library said that they put a link to KET's website on their workforce grant laptops that they received from KDLA. So I thought that was a great idea.
That's wonderful. Yes, thank you for doing that, Amy. That's wonderful.
It is wonderful. That our whole mission here is to get this information in the hands of adult learners who can use it, especially as they are looking at workforce changes, looking at new careers, thinking about what they want to do next. If this information is useful to them, then that's exactly how we like to see it play out for the learners.
Anybody else have questions about anything that Sarah or Beth has presented today? Oh, I see Gail has got one. Would you say that the main focus of these resources are for an older person who needs to change their work focus or re-enter the workforce, and not so much younger people?
That's a really good question, Gail, and I'm glad you brought that up. The Workplace Essential Skills material is aimed at the pre-GED level learner. So our writer wrote the content at the 7th to 9th grade level. So I think it's ideal for younger people just entering the workforce perhaps, and like we said, maybe don't have much of a training behind them to show, or have not really accumulated much experience to put on a resume. This really helps them focus in on what they may be interested in. Like maybe they think they want to do construction, but they get in there and they start the math and they're like, I don't like this at all. I think I'd like to see what IT might look like. But I think it can also be useful for the older person who wants to re-enter and brush up on skills, or maybe make some changes, you know, for the same reason. Maybe I want to try a career change. Let me just dabble around in here and see what some math and language arts skills might look like in a different career sector. And Beth, I realize I just jumped in there, so please, please add, you know, for whatever I've left out here.
Right. And thank you, Sarah. And I agree that while these are wonderful resources for people coming back mid-career, maybe they've had an interruption of some kind, that, you know, things happen in our personal lives that maybe take us off the track that we originally envisioned when we started planning for a career. But it is also a really good resource for students who, as Sarah said, are pre-GED. This is pretty basic math and language arts in the Workplace Essential Skills courses. But we also have interest from people who are heritage speakers of a language other than English, maybe even who got a high school diploma but are finding the transition to community college to be difficult, or into a career to be difficult. These are really good, the academic content, they're very good, straightforward brush-ups for folks like that. And then we do hear from a lot of people who are, you know, midlife changing situations, and they find a use for this information, and especially seeing it in contextualized per industry seems to be very helpful to them.
Beth, I wanted to follow up on what you just said there about folks who maybe English isn't their first language. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think both Workplace Essential Skills and Fast Forward does have captions, or folks can view it in different languages. Can you talk about that, or correct me?
Well, what we have is that for the narrative that's on the page in the lessons, on the computer page, it can be selected, and then there are about 20 different languages you can choose from, and it will translate for you in a little pop-up window. The second thing that it will do is read it in the second language. After you have done the translation, you can select it and hit the read function, and it will read it out loud in that language. Because we are really careful to make sure that we are providing accessibility for all students with our videos, which are not in second languages, we have a descriptive transcript posted with each one of them. And so it not only has what the audio captions say, but it has a little something about where the conversation is taking place, perhaps a statement about what the action is that the viewer would see. Certainly good in English for people who are sight impaired, but also it can be translated. The descriptive transcript itself can be selected and translated in Google Translate. So there are ways even of getting the video script translated as well.
Thank you, Beth. That's perfect. That's a great help too. I don't know that folks wouldn't have necessarily thought about that, but I know that would be a great thing for folks to know about, because of the needs that their community may have, folks who are not native English speakers.
And sometimes these are the folks who are least likely to put themselves out on the line if they feel a little uncomfortable about who to go to or how to ask for assistance. Being able to get started online this way sometimes makes it a little bit easier, makes the transition easier.
Do you have any other questions? These have been really good questions. So I appreciate your all's comments and feedback. Please share any more questions or ways you have utilized the KET resources in your library already. And just so you know, you all may not be aware of this, but I can include a link on this in the information I send out. Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives actually has a workforce development page, and the in-demand careers are linked from KET. KET's in-demand careers are linked on the KDLA's workforce page. In addition to the, there's information about Fast Forward and Workplace Essential Skills. There's a link to that. So if you get on KDLA's page as well, you can find that, and I will put a link in the chat for that as well. But please continue to type in any questions or things that you have, and I will be glad to field those questions and send those to Sarah or to Beth. If we don't see any other questions, I will go on and share our concluding slides. And as you all think of questions, continue to feel free to type those into the chat. Here is, again, Sarah and Beth's contact information for you. So I'll have that up there on the screen for a moment. Then also we want to thank the Institute of Museum and Library Services that made this webinar possible today. Thank you to them for making this webinar possible. And then if you want to, you can follow KDLA on social media. We are on Twitter at KDLA LIB DEV and on Facebook at KDLA LIB DEV. And I'm going to get that information for the workforce development page here for you and put that in the chat so that you all have access to that as well, in case you don't already have that page bookmarked. So that the KDLA's workforce page does have links to KET's in-demand careers and Fast Forward and Workplace Essential Skills, and just their adult education page as well. Any other questions, folks? Well, I want to thank you all very much for attending today's webinar and for your comments and your questions. Greatly appreciated. I also want to thank Sarah and Beth, and I'll put their contact information back up again so that you will be able to see that. Just a reminder that this webinar was recorded, so if you had any sound issues or had to step away, this will be available to you. I will send that out in a week or so. And also want to let you know that there is a survey that you all can fill out. We would love to have your comments and your thoughts about today's webinar. So I've dropped that into the chat as well. If you're watching this as a recording, please feel free to take that survey as well. We would love to hear your thoughts and learn about how we can provide additional webinars like this or other resources that would be helpful to you. Also want to let you know that you will be able to get a certificate of attendance. If you attended 75% of this webinar, I will make sure that that information gets to our continuing education department. So that information will be connected with them and you will get a certificate for attending today. And please, if you have any other questions that you want to ask Beth or Sarah, their contact information is in the chat, but you also are welcome to email me and I can connect you with them. I'm going to put my email address in the chat here for you. So I think I actually put it in there wrong. I apologize. It's hillary@ky.gov. So please feel free to email me if you have any questions. And again, thank you all for attending today's webinar. May you have a great day.